Right now, Madison residents are protesting ICE after a man was shot and killed in Minneapolis by federal agents. We'll take you there.
And school delays are coming on in as we get ready for yet another round of cold air. Cold weather advisory in effect through noon on Monday. How cold those morning chills get on Monday in the full forecast.
Plus, a bill to cut taxes on tips. That's heading to the governor's office. How it would work. That's all coming up on News 3 Now at 5:30. Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jalen Banks. We hope you enjoyed the AFC Championship game. However, we're bringing you breaking news as multiple news outlets, including the Wall Street Journal, are reporting University of Wisconsin-Madison Chancellor Jennifer Minneapolis has been selected as Columbia University's next president. Columbia initially launched their search for a president in the spring of last year. Minneapolis being made president would mark the Ivy League's school's fourth since 2023. Back at home, Minneapolis was named as UW-Madison's chancellor in late 2022. At the time, officials said the UW System Board of Regents voted unanimously to approve her. News 3 Now has reached out to the university for comment. We have not yet heard back. And now to the ongoing story out of Minneapolis. Alex Peretti, a 37-year-old man who graduated from high school in Green Bay, was killed by federal agents yesterday in Minneapolis. His fatal shooting has led to intense reaction nationwide, including here in Madison, where protesters took their opinions to the Capitol. Our Nash Dare was there and has more. Nash.
Jalen, this was the second fatal ICE shooting in weeks in Minneapolis, just 18 days after the death of Renee Good, which has led to yet another large protest outside of our state's capital. Participants are standing in solidarity with objection to ICE occupation across the country. Hundreds of protesters fought off the cold in unity this afternoon, displaying their disapproval for actions of border control officers across the United States, but specifically in Minnesota.
Like a lot of people here, I'm angry, I'm dismayed. I'm sad. I think it just helps to be with other people. It just helps to do something to say, hey, you're going to have to come through us if you want to attack Minnesota, if you want to attack Portland, if you want to come to Madison, we're going to be here. I don't know that we can affect change. We have Democrats who are not leading. We have Republicans who are doing whatever Trump wants them to do. It feels powerless, but at least we're together doing something.
Other protesters who gathered today shared feelings of fear, saying it is only a matter of time before ICE comes to Madison and similar encounters occur.
Let's go ahead and get a look at your certified most accurate forecast. Blaze, what do we have coming up?
Well, we are going to be climbing into those double digits starting on Tuesday. And the good news is we are no longer air temperature wise continuing that streak of being sub-zero. It is 5 degrees out in Dodgeville on our Upland Hill sky camera. We've had a little less cloud cover than, say, folks further into central parts of Wisconsin, but it still does feel like it's about 9 degrees below zero. That cold weather advisory in effect through noon on Monday, already at the bottom of your screen. We sent a push alert, as well as you can find it on our website. Some schools have already started to at least have some delayed starts because of the cold that we are expecting. We'll take a look at those wind chills in just a moment. But 60 hours from 10:53 p.m. on the 22nd through 10:53 a.m. on the 25th. That is how long, Madison, we were underneath those sub-zero temperatures. And pretty much from here on out, we are going to stay on the warmer side. Except for tomorrow morning, it is going to feel cold, 25 to 35 degrees below zero. We'll track a quiet last week of January, Jalen, in the full forecast.
All right, sounds good, Blaze. We'll see you then. And as we continue to push through this stretch of bitter cold, you can help News 3 Now, Channel 3000 this week for the Week of Warmth. You can help us raise money for the Keep Wisconsin Warm and Cool Fund. You can find out on how you can get involved and donate, or you can just go ahead and scan the QR code on your screen. Again, that is the Week of Warmth, so go ahead and get involved. And as always, you can track the forecast for yourself on the First One weather app. It is hourly planners, road conditions, and even radar. You can download it for free in your phone's app store. Just search WISC Weather. Police say an early morning shooting that killed one on Madison's Southside may have been targeted. Officers headed to Primrose Lane near the Madison Mobile Home Parks and the Ridge Apartments at around 3:30 a.m. Upon arrival, they found a person with a gunshot wound. They gave him aid immediately, but they unfortunately died at the scene. As of this afternoon, no arrests have been made. Police say nearby residents should expect increased police presence as the investigation continues. If you have any information about this shooting, contact Madison Area Crime Stoppers at the number on your screen or submit a tip online at p3tips.com. Officials are reporting a Boston man was arrested in Indiana as part of his father's homicide. When last Wednesday, Jacob Sanders was pulled over in West Indiana near Terre Haute, about 6 hours from Boston, for turning without signaling. Indiana officials allegedly observed possible blood on Jacob's hands during the stop. He was additionally driving his father's vehicle. Officials then contacted Juneau County to conduct a welfare check in Boston at around 4:15 p.m. that day. They found Michael Sanders, Jacob's father, dead at a residence on East State Street near the Willows Motel in Boston. A homicide investigation began immediately, and Jacob was placed in custody back in Indiana. Jacob was placed there, and there he's facing charges of theft, criminal conversion, and driving without a license. In the meantime, extradition proceedings back to Wisconsin are pending. An arrest warrant has been issued against him for first-degree intentional homicide with domestic abuse modifiers, along with other charges. An autopsy of his father, Michael, was completed on Thursday. Officials say results from that autopsy will be used in the ongoing investigation. Records show Jacob has an initial court appearance in Indiana scheduled for Tuesday. And a bill to cut taxes on tips is headed to Governor Evers' desk. Roughly 90,000 Wisconsinites rely on tips as part of their pay. The bill passed the Senate this week and the Assembly last Thursday. It would mirror the federal bill that allows you to deduct up to $25,000 on reported tips. But Democrats argue that the real solution would be to raise Wisconsin's minimum wage, which is at the federal minimum.
Minimum wage should be higher, Madam President. It should be much higher than $7.25. But alas, that's where we're stuck at federally, among the lowest in the country. So if we decided to move it up, we have a slate of different options.
We were one step closer to eliminating taxes on tipped wages for hardworking Americans with this language before us today. So I just want to say, obviously you can talk to those in the service industry out in your own communities, but this is clearly about affordability.
The bill would remain in effect through 2028. And coming up next on News 3 Now, the Trump administration abruptly halts public health funding to cities and states, then reversed it just hours later. Why? Next.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5:30, moving forward.
Thank you for staying with us. The Trump administration abruptly halted and then reversed pivotal public health funding to cities and states over the weekend. A notice landed in inboxes Saturday that more than $5 billion in CDC infrastructure grants were paused. But within hours, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services spokesperson confirmed the pause had been lifted and no grants were terminated. The spokesperson said the pause was to implement a new review process to ensure funds are used for their intended purposes and in alignment with agency priorities. These grants support lab testing, emergency preparedness, patient care, and public health jobs. A massive winter storm is barreling across the U.S. Hundreds of thousands of people have lost power across the country. The storm has also crippled travel. Michael Yoshida has details.
A monster winter storm stretching from Texas up to Maine is causing treacherous travel conditions. More than 200 million people are under winter storm alerts, and multiple states have declared a state of emergency. In some areas like Washington, D.C., it's a dangerous mix of both snow and sleet.
It's switched over to sleet, which is going to compact the snow, make it a little bit denser, which is harder to push.
Some areas of the Northeast could see up to 2 feet of snow by Monday. New York City is expected to get over a foot.
It is brutal, it is bone-chilling, and it is dangerous.
The brutal conditions have caused stretches of interstates across the country to close. The governor of Oklahoma says some areas of his state have been slammed with 11 inches of snow so far.
We got more in a 24-hour period than we've ever had in the last, I think, like 40 years.
In other parts of the country, it's the ice and bitter cold causing serious concern. A water main break near a highway outside Charlotte, North Carolina, encasing power lines and street and ice. And in Tennessee, this woman taking a photo of her driveway and street glazed over.
Completely frozen.
The other big concern is the frigid temperatures, making it harder for crews to treat the roads.
When you get down that cold, the steel in the shocks and stuff like that, it gets brittle and you can damage the vehicles.
In Washington, I'm Michael Yoshida reporting.
And we're also facing some pretty brutal weather here. Blaze is back with another check of your First One forecast right after the break.
We are going to continue to sit underneath alert day conditions through at least Monday morning as some cold wind chills are expected to return. Again, all of our coverage area underneath that cold weather advisory until noon on Monday. Coldest air temperatures and likely the wind chill values somewhere between 5 and about 8 a.m. on Monday. So again, limit your time and your pet's time outdoors overnight and especially into the morning hours on Monday. We're once again going to slip anywhere between about 15 to 25 degrees below zero overnight. But as those winds pick up, because we're going to be slammed between another strong high pressure system and that strong low that's beginning to make its way across parts of New England, it is going to be a bit breezy. So that's the reason why our wind chill values are once again going to get cold. We've got still some fresh-ish snow on the ground, and our skies tonight will be clear to mostly clear. But the winds in particular this night into Monday, that's the reason why our wind chill values are going to be as cold as they are. The winds do start to die down and actually turn out of the south as we go later into Monday. So Tuesday, it is once again going to feel cold, especially in the morning. We may once again see some school delays, and speaking of that, they are crawling at the bottom of your screen. We've sent out a push alert to your phone or mobile device, and we've also got a running list on our website, so you can check those throughout the rest of this evening and into tomorrow morning. You can also tune in tomorrow morning starting at 4:30 with the latest on not only the temperatures and road conditions, but also the school delays as well. Here's some good news. We are out of those teens and into the 20s starting on Sunday, kicking off February on the warmer side compared to where we have been. But in terms of where we should be for this time of year, even when we get into those mid to upper 20s, we're still a little bit below average. So what I think is now beginning to happen is we are transitioning out of the really, really cold into more seasonal to slightly below average. And then we will start to get into warmer than average as we go into more or less the midpoint of February. And what a month it has been, even though we were warmer than average from the 5th through the 14th. Being cooler than average from the 17th through yesterday's date with 2 days back to back, almost 30 degrees cooler than average. That has bumped or really cooled our average temperature down to about 19.6 degrees. That is only 0.1 degree warmer than average. And reminder, at one point we were about 10 degrees warmer than average in terms of temperature. There is also maybe some good news for some folks, starting to see some of those warmer than average temperature trends picking up as we get around the 8th of February. So as I said, I think when we get to the middle, things will start to warm on up. But until then, teens and 20s, little to no snow. We are out of the single digits and stay in the double digits Tuesday onward.
I mean, as cold as we've been, I know a lot of people are seeing those temps and starting to smile a little bit. Seeing 27 degrees,
so. Yeah.
Off into the distance.
We're at least out of the sub-zero. So.
Yeah, I know some of us need to like get our cars washed because right now you go and get it washed.
You don't want to drive a frozen little car around.
All right, Kay, what do we have coming up in sports?
Coming up in sports, how the Badgers are doing on the court, but also on the ice. Next on News 3 Now.
She shoots, she scores. Felt about time.
And now, News 3 Now Sports, brought to you by TDS Telecom.
Today was the last time Wisconsin women's hockey will have their entire team together. 5 players are leaving for the Olympics this week, and so this team will look a little different than it did today because Kristen Sims, who knocks this one in, will be one of the players headed to Italy, along with Caroline Harvey, who also gets one to go for this Badgers win, and they will be leaving in style with a win 6-1 over Benjamin State. Badger basketball is in that mode after winning 5 games in a row, and they are looking to establish themselves as a team you don't want to see in the conference tournament. Taking on Southern California today, John Blackwell makes one through the lane to get one to go for the Badgers. They were down in the beginning of this one, and then Nick Boyd, who led the Badgers in scoring with 29 points, gets one to go, but the Badgers would lose this one and lose their streak and end this game 73-71. And keeping it on the court, on the women's side, they lost in Minnesota 88-53, keeping their Kohl Center streak, but they'll play another team in the Kohl Center next. Some exciting news for the Packers, though. After losing defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley to Miami, he has been replaced with Jonathan Gannon, former Arizona Cardinals head coach, and who was only with the team for the past 3 years. I'm sure, Jalen, that's an exciting addition to see what he can do for this team defensively.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as we know, the Cardinals have struggled. Every year there's that survey that goes out by the players where they kind of rate and give the team a grade, and consistently the Cardinals are at the bottom of that team survey. But Jonathan Gannon was a part of that 2022 Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl team where they led the league in passing defense and sacks that season. So Arizona's defense has been consistent the last 3 seasons. They just couldn't quite get it going. So if you're going to get a candidate of that caliber, that's this late into the hiring process, I think it's a steal.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited to see what happens. We had Michael Parsons in town yesterday cheering on, so I know he's probably excited to know that who his new DC is and get the ball rolling for the.
I mean, when you've got Micah, can't be too hard to be a DC, but looking forward to that one for sure.
For sure.
We'll have more on that tonight at 10, but coming up next, a final check of your first one forecast when we return. I think one of the things that a lot of people are thinking about, not just here but nationwide, is the weather.
Yeah.
What should we expect? We've already got the school closings coming in. Yeah.
And again, those will be updated on our website. The schools put those in, so you may want to check in throughout the rest of this evening. And you can also tune in tomorrow morning. They're going to have the latest school delays as well, because we are expecting another chilly night with very cold wind chills as we are waking up on Monday. That cold weather advisory remaining in effect through 12 p.m., so noon on Monday. Overnight lows expected to dip below 0, and those wind chill values waking up on Monday 25 to 35 degrees below 0, because it will be a bit windy on Monday. But that is the last day that we are in the single digits. Back into the double digits and eventually the 20s as we end January and go into February. We are looking at the final week of January and the start of February. Little to no snow, but temperatures will be warming.
All right, definitely looking forward to that warm up. But thank you, Blaze, and thank you, Kay. Thank you all for joining us. 60 Minutes is coming up, and we'll see you back here for News 3 Now at 10.